The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Ehrenworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Ehrenworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackast. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass and Family Feud.
We are three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
It's just so ridiculous. That's all.
Well, I was going to surprise it. I was going to surprise them and tell them we're doing something different today, but you guys kind of spoiled my my whole game plan.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, let me ask you a question. Why did you wake up this morning dressed like Parappa the Rappa, or is this just an orange hat that you found later on? What's going on here?
No, so the other day I kind of, like, my hair got really puffy on the sides.
Okay.
And I got frustrated and I cut my hair. And I really fucked it up. So
Chris,
I had to find something that would cover everything.
You gotta show us. You gotta
I'm not immortalizing this. It's
I beg
bad.
of you.
I literally tied a shoelace around so I could at least get the puffiness off the sides. And
I don't know.
as a guideline, yeah.
A guideline. Oh, to cut, you mean?
Yeah, because I wanted to shave the sides.
Yeah.
And so I just did like a shoelace around there so I knew where I was going. And yeah, I'm wearing a hat for a reason.
Can I say if you're just listening to this and you don't watch along with us over on YouTube, give that a shot. It's great. We play clips of the episode or whatever it is that we're reviewing over there as well. But if you haven't joined us for our conversations on Chris's hair, it's a regular segment update now. I don't know when it became such a big thing, but we're constantly talking about your hair. It's always, the people on YouTube are always commenting on it as well. You make some bold choices with your hair, one of which apparently is cutting it yourself, which with
a shoelace.
With a shoelace is and hey, speaking of cutting your own hair, it looks like Danger Ehren's been doing that himself lately, especially in this episode of Family Feud featuring the crew from Jackass.
Funny thing about this episode, it came out on September 22nd of the year 2022.
It did.
Which was actually just a few days ago. So,
as of recording,
I was like, should I do my fun fact of the day? Everybody knows what happened a couple days ago. Then I started thinking, maybe people are listening to this in the future.
Yes.
This might be 20 years from now where people are listening to it.
Right.
So I decided to appease to both people and play a little game with you two.
Okay.
I came up with 3 headlines, 2 of which are real, 1 of which is fake.
I love this.
And I'd like to see if you guys could guess these.
I love this.
You guys ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Headline number 1. Florida man pleads guilty to $7.2 million COVID-19 relief fraud. Headline number 2. Calgary police say more than 1.6 million stolen in 2022 through grandparent scam. Headline number 3. Death of 2 Russian oligarchs are being linked to Putin after new evidence of homosexuality between the two emerged via leaked emails.
So only one of these is true?
Only one of them is fake.
Oh, only one of them is fake.
Mikey, let's figure out what the 2 real ones are first here. Let's narrow it down, shall we? Because I think the third one sounds the most sensational, but in a way, I feel like he put it in there to throw us. So I feel like that one's got to be true.
You also have to keep in mind, Chris, that the places Chris gets his news stories from are wild. So,
so they're probably all fake. Really.
Yeah, CNN. Fucking pure fucking bullshit. Fake news everywhere.
Okay.
They're all probably fucking fake.
Yeah, what do you think, though?
I'm gonna guess. I think it's crazy to believe that Florida gave $7.2 million in COVID relief. So I think that is the fake one.
Okay. I feel like he's throwing the Calgary one in there to tip me off. Be like, ooh, he's throwing that one as like a sign or something. But I'm gonna go with Mikey. I think it is the COVID relief as well.
You guys are both wrong.
Cox.
Which is it?
The Florida man was correct, as all Florida man headlines, as sensational as they are always correct.
Yeah.
The Calgary one was correct.
Okay.
The Putin one I wanted to throw in there just to see if you guys would be able to play into that a little bit.
So I gave you a little too much credit then, is what you're saying.
I knew you guys would think that the weirdest sounding one would be that, so I kind of played a little double Jeopardy.
Double Jeopardy. Chris, don't talk about Jeopardy because that's not the game show that we're doing on this week's episode of Jackass to Jackass podcast. Instead, it's Family Feud.
And if you're Preston Lacey, apparently you aren't smart enough for Jeopardy. So thank God we're playing Family Feud.
Preston Lacey looked so fucking confused this whole time. He looked so lost. He looked lost. I love the guy, but man. I think he forgot where he was a couple times.
I almost wonder if they gave him a few more of those. What did they give him when he did the Godzilla, the King Kong sketch on the porta potty?
Xanax.
Did they give him a couple Xanax before this one or something? He was in a fucking another world for sure.
Yeah.
But that being said, yes, this is Family Feud. I know you guys are, we do a quality show here of, talking about Jackass stunts, the things you know and love, giving a thoughtful rating to each stunt in the canon of Jackass. We spend hours toiling over the best and greatest things that these boys have ever put together and put out onto film. And you motherfuckers over there on Twitter are asking for Family Feud as if this has been some blind spot. We've done some disservice by not addressing this sooner. But hey, you know what? You asked for it. Please, sir, can I have some more? More? You want some more? Well, now you're getting fucking Family Feud. I hope you're going to enjoy this. Family Feud stars Steve Harvey as the host, and we've got two teams here. On the Knoxville side, it's Johnny Knoxville, Danger Ehren, Preston Lacey, Jasper, Dave England, and Rachel as well. On the other side, we've got Team Tremaine with, of course, the man himself, Jeff Tremaine, Dark Shark, Wee Man, Zach, Pontius, and Butterbean, which I did not expect to see him in here, but he's back, baby.
Guys, you know who Butterbean looks like?
Preston Lacey?
If he had cancer for 2 years.
Holy shit. I saw
go back and look at that. He looks exactly like he's fought through it for 2 years and is doing his final bout of chemo before he fucking kicks a bucket.
He didn't look great. I'll say that. He didn't look great, but he can still kick the shit out of all of us at the same time.
And please, Butterbean, I'm sorry. Do not fight me in the street if you ever see me. I do not want no beef with you. You'd whoop my ass. I'm just making an observation.
No, you're right, though. I didn't recognize him at first either, though. Even from when you think of Butterbean, you think of him back in 2002 or whenever the Jackass the movie came out, and then to see him now after all these years, I was just staring at the screen. I actually paused it and was like, who the fuck is that guy? And I didn't really clue in until I realized what he was wearing, which was he's wearing the USA trunks with Butterbean on the band there. So
yes.
Yeah, he's ready to go. I just kind of wonder, is this what he wears for all celebrity appearances? Is this just his thing?
Man, imagine getting to the point in your life when you can get away with wearing just easy breezy boxing shorts wherever you go. That's the life. That would just be the most comfortable lifestyle of all time.
That's what I'm doing. I'm just wearing boxers recording my job,
That's true. Chris legitimately is. Do you want to stand up and show the listener or the viewer here? There you go. There's Chris in all his glory.
There's Tarzan showing everybody his banana.
We'll get there. Chris just walked in assuming that that wouldn't be brought up. He walked in with no pants on to the recording studio.
Look at what he's wearing on his head.
Everyone's just been on COVID relief. They've been back at home working from home. How many of you actually wore pants for your Zoom meetings? Let's be honest. I'm real. I'm a man of the people.
No. Chris, you always do this. You just say something and then you end with, again, I'm a man of the people. It doesn't, those two things aren't related. You just say it as though that's
because you're sitting up there on your freaking corporate perch over there with your nice fancy outfits and your nice mustache and you're all groomed and lack of tan when you went away on vacation. But, the man of the people understands if you don't get it just because you're not in tune with us.
Yeah.
If your way of insulting me is saying that I'm wearing nice clothes, I'm groomed and that I got to go on vacation.
That's what one of them would say.
Oh, one of them would say.
Mike, okay. I didn't want to say anything, but I am getting kind of sick and tired of your corporate perch.
That's true.
Right?
My corporate perch is
like Darkwing Duck sitting on top of the. Yeah.
All right, we're playing today, boys, for 25,000 big whopping big boy big ones. That's a lot of money, but we're playing for charity. Knoxville is going straight for the Special Olympics, and I believe Tremaine, they were the Skate Park Foundation. So
yes,
two good causes. Now,
who did you guys want to win
Skate Park project
before this started?
There's a question. Yeah, I got to say, team? I wanted Knoxville to win just because I felt the energy was higher over there. Plus, when he came out wearing Steve Harvey's suit, that was great. That was pretty fucking funny.
That was a good move.
Hey, what if he came out wearing the suit? What if he came out in blackface too? What if he really went for it?
Hey, right, Mikey. Maybe I shouldn't be giving him so much credit after all.
I'm surprised. What was that guy's name from the other episode?
Jesus Christ.
The guy, the the Redneck Ranch.
Oh,
Mikey's favorite character.
Teen
I'm surprised
Eggs.
he wasn't out there. Yeah.
We don't know much about teen eggs, but I think that's a good thing. I don't know that we want to know more.
Who'd you want to win on this one, Mikey? Which
I was
team are you
saying
with?
Team Knoxville. Team Knoxville had the energy.
Ooh.
And I'll say this, like, there's a thing about game shows, like you have to bring this certain kind of energy, this like fake laughter and the, oh, Steve, you're so funny. And, oh, can you believe that? Like everything is like really oversold. And the Jackass crew, to their credit, is playing ball. Like they're really bringing that energy to it. And I think Johnny's team, especially Danger Ehren, is doing that exactly as they would have been coached to do. I just like that they were really there.
It's funny you say Danger Ehren because, first of all, I was actually rooting for the other team because Pontius is on the other team. So instantaneously, I have to go that way.
Yeah.
But did you guys read into it as much as I did? Like that Danger Ehren was right to Johnny Knoxville. Is that like a new passing of the torch? Is that a new recognition thing? Or did they just line up that way? Because to me, you think like the biggest person is right next to the biggest person type thing. And maybe he's finally getting some kudos and some credit after that performance in the movie.
That's a
I
good
think
point.
they just wanted to fuck with Ehren, and having him right beside Knoxville he was an easy target for the taser, which will come out very soon. Very soon. You guys want to talk about that for a minute? Did you expect to see that on like a national broadcast TV show?
No, I mean, I think the story of this episode is going to be the story of me realizing slowly but surely that they fucking nailed this episode. Like I did not know what to expect. The first thing I wrote down on my notes is I can't believe Family Feud is something that I've written on this. But as it went on, apart from the intro where there were some awkward stops and starts and everything, it just kept getting really good because the Jackass crew, as much as they were playing by the rules of Family Feud and a game show and being very showy, they also brought their own energy to it. Like how often on Family Feud, and I like Family Feud, you know, I'll watch it if I'm hungover or something like that on the couch. And I need something to do.
Dude, I legitimately, I have a PS5 and it pisses people off because I only have one game, FIFA. I never play my PS5. I call it my Netflix machine. The only other game I have on there is Family Feud. I downloaded it. And I have family, so when I hear that song, it triggers these memories of these like 9 a.m. Colombian marching dust fueled Family Feud games that I would have like after like a fucking 2-day party bender. So it was really weird. It kind of got me all jacked up in a weird way.
No, I get it.
The excitement was very heavy for me.
I love Family Feud too, but the one thing I hate about Family Feud is the answers are always such bullshit. Like you can't overthink
That's
it.
true.
You have to dumb yourself down. And what you never get on Family Feud is the contestants saying, well, that's a stupid answer. But the Jackass crew is doing it. And they're me. When they do that, that's what I'm always thinking. And I like the fact that they brought that, like they felt comfortable enough to say that, and B, good enough on the Family Feud production crew to allow them to do that, you know, to poke fun
and
at
Steve
their
Harvey
product.
was even saying it too at certain points.
Yes. Yeah. Steve was great.
Steve does a great job. At first, you can tell there's something weird here between the dynamic between the Jackass crew being here, the audience, and Steve Harvey, where like for the first 5 minutes of the show, no one's really sure, okay, what level are we taking this to? How should we react to these people? It's almost as if fucking Doctor Strange came in here, opened a portal, all of these weirdos walked out, and everyone in the audience is just like, wait, what's going on? This isn't Family Feud. And like,
Seriously.
just the comments here, like right out of the gate when Steve he calls everybody ignorant. Steve says, this is ignorant. And he says, I'm surprised to see all of you alive. I thought you were going to kill yourselves a long time ago. And the audience is just kind of like,
Well, imagine the audience. That's why I just for the life of me don't know how this ever happened. I don't get how the Jackass crew ended up on Family Feud. Like think about the people who would be sitting in that audience. There are 70-year-old women, their husbands maybe that they dragged along to the show, and like 14-year-old grandchildren, and that's it. Like that is the opposite of the demographic of Jackass, and yet someone had an idea that got greenlit, which was to bring them on the show. And you mentioned, Jay, like the uncertainty of the audience, like when Danger Ehren's talking about the shot caller and all that, like as soon as he mentions shot caller, the audience goes completely silent. Like they're like, they don't understand how that could be funny, why they would do it, or why these people are there talking to them in the first place. And that awkwardness I started to really enjoy.
Or when Dave England's talking about how he pooed in the friggin' hardware store. One of the most iconic fucking moments in the history of Jackass. And the crowd is like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, and then Steve Harvey's like, no, I'm being serious.
Yes.
And they're like, ooh. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, how the fuck do these people not know about this?
Yeah,
but until you kind of break it down like that, you're like, yes, who fucking goes to watch filmings of these fucking things? Old women. That's it. And husbands that are dragged along.
You guys are so right though, because like even with the Knoxville one, where it's right after where Harvey says, "I thought you guys were going to off yourselves a long time ago," and then Knoxville gets questioned, and he says, "Yeah, I got hospitalized," and I think the audience is like, "Oh, it is okay to laugh," so they laugh hysterically after Knoxville says, "I was hit by a bull and I was hospitalized." And it's just such a strange dynamic here.
It is, but they also like. Again, I'll describe the demographic, 70-year-old women and people they've dragged to the show. There's something about Johnny Knoxville. He has that old ladies love me energy about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he just has that like wink and a smile and dress up in a suit and like, I'm the little rascal, even though.
He could be the guy that runs the bingo game at the old folks home and they all fucking love him.
100%. He has that like Saul Goodman energy to him that just works with old people. It's great.
So this part of the show is just for the, if you're not going to bother watching this is where they just interview everybody one by one. I don't want to go so into detail with it, but there are a few specific interview points we will talk about before we get to the actual questions. One of them on Knoxville's team is Preston, because right here is where it starts to set in that, this is the Preston we all know and love in terms of him being super polite and quiet. But as the show goes on, you guys are totally right. He just starts to like disappear into another dimension or something. But I do love when they ask him, they don't ask him, but they describe, every guy got assigned, like, here's a famous stunt that they did to, fill in the audience. And Preston's was a field goal kick to the face. Preston just stares at Harvey for a couple of seconds and says, yeah, it really hurt. And like he has nothing to say, but he says it in like the nicest way, as if he's trying to like, it's like you're getting asked a question at your grandma's, she's having like a family dinner and she asks you some question, something you don't want to talk about, but you're polite. You answer anyway because it's your grandma and you want to be nice. You want to be a presentable young boy. This is Preston right here.
Presentable young boy is absolutely the vibe he's bringing to the table here. He's adorable. He's so adorable in the intro. Like he's just, yes, sir. That's why I'm not a very smart man, Mr. Harvey. Like he was just like, the first couple times he came and he kind of brought that energy, I was like, this is funny. This is Preston. But then it got almost concerning by the end of it. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but like something was off with Preston in this. I don't know if you guys picked up on that energy as well, but he got to that point where I was just like, I don't know what this dude's deal is right now. Someone's got to check on him.
So before we jump over to the Tremaine side and interview them, I just got to say that when they're interviewing Dave and they're talking about the fire hose rodeo, and he says it was really fun till I fell off, and then it hurt a lot. I just started thinking, everybody looks like the last scene of any Die Hard movie right now. You guys notice that? It's like they're trying to get cleaned up, but they just went through something really traumatic. The building's on fire, ambulances are everywhere in the parking lot.
They've all got the aluminum blankets or those silver blankets over them, just like giving interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the deal with those blankets anyways? Like, give me a real blanket. I don't want that friggin' tinfoil on me.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're telling me that's warmer than a fucking cozy blanket? Fuck off.
Get out of here, cops.
So we jump over to the Tremaine side. We get, Pontius. He loves to strip and dance because he's the party boy. Wee Man talks about the bungee wedgie. But I do want to stop for a moment at Dark Shark here because there's some great banter across. Because keep in mind, Jasper is on the opposite team. So they introduce him as the father of Jasper here. They show that he did the tarantula helmet. And I love the banter that ensues where he says, well, he talked me into it. My son did. And immediately, just like firing back all cylinders, Jasper's like, hey man, I got you a job, and the audience just loses it. Like, and apparently this is the kind of shit that happens between these two all the time, so I'd love to see more of this in like the behind the scenes. It's great.
How about Steve Harvey getting real gangster, being like, I would bite a fucking chunk out of your cheek. Has that ever happened to you and someone spat out your own cheek? I'm like, whoa, easy there, fucking Steve.
This was the moment.
He probably loved this because he finally got to like TV friendly himself a little bit.
100%. Totally. This was the moment, I think, because it seemed like Steve Harvey in the initial portions of the episode was kind of like, oh, okay, what are we doing here? But he loosened up at the Dark Shark introduction. And when he's talking about that, he's bringing like, you realize in this moment why Steve Harvey has the job he has, not because he's cheesy and because he's whatever, but because he was a legitimately incredible comedian who became famous enough to warrant having a job in this spotlight. Because his comment on that, they're basically talking, Jasper's saying, I could beat up my dad, and Steve Harvey's like, we got, we're old men, we got 20-30 seconds, but it's going to be 20-30 seconds of hell. And he says, like you said, Chris, I'm going to go somewhere you never expected. You ain't never had a piece of your face spit back at you. Like, what a fucking line.
Yeah, where did that come from?
It's just him being like, okay, you know what? If this is what the producers want, they want to bring this energy, I'm going to give this energy right back to them.
Totally.
And to be fair, the audience looks to Steve and his acceptance of the surroundings around him to determine whether or not they should accept it as well. He is their entry point into the contestants. So if he starts to like embody their energy a bit, the audience trusting Steve is going to be much more willing to come along with the rest of the show. So like a truly, like, not to get too much into the weeds, but like a really professionally well done moment, I think, here by Steve.
I got to ask you guys, though, because we're on the topic now of the father-son, banter, the relationship here. You guys have always talked about your own father as being a pretty tough guy growing up. Like, he wouldn't have done any shit to you physically, but he, when you were fucking around, he knew how to put a stop to that with, the eye contact, the words.
Psychological warfare more than anything else.
So I got to ask you both. Let's not say as a one-on-one scenario, but let's say like a 2-on-1 handicap match. Do you guys think you could or would fight your dad and try to take him down?
Either of us could beat his fucking bitch ass these days. Fucking no problem.
Let's talk dad in his prime.
But in his prime versus me right now or Mikey right now, we'd beat his bitch ass, no problem.
Yeah,
but he would fucking ruin our lives after he took that beating.
True.
He would like fucking Game of Thrones our ass and fucking just set us up where we think we're fucking good for 20 years and just pull the fucking skirt out from us. Like, he's a vindictive motherfucker. Yeah. I wouldn't. So the answer is I would not.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I would see my opening and I would politely decline to take it and let him have his, I would probably let him think he won, to be honest. Just out of respect. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, Mikey, you got to give some credit and respect then, in this case, to Jasper, because don't forget, he's mouthing off to an ex-con here. Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence.
To be fair, I think there's no way Jasper beats up Dark. There's no fucking way.
I don't think
Dark Shark destroys him.
But it's a good little segment here. I love the banter. I love the back and forth. Butterbean gets interviewed. They do bring up the comment. I know, Mikey, you'll love this one, where after he knocked out Knoxville in the department store and he asks, is Butterbean okay? Get a little reaction to that there from Butterbean, which was nice to see. And finally, Zach at the end. And I don't so much want to talk about his portion here more than I just had like a thought pop up when I saw him, because they referenced the cactus, the jump from Jackass Forever. And I was thinking about this literally like 2 days ago. I was just sitting on the couch and it popped into my head and I was like, did he wear goggles for this? And I couldn't remember for the life of me. And I was thinking, dude, if he didn't, that is like the stupidest thing you could ever do. Getting one of those needles right in your eye. Oof. He does wear goggles though. They show it in the picture. But for a while there, I was spooked, man. I was a little spooked.
He was this Jay just like clasping at his blanket, like watching this, like, oh, I hope he wore
needles.
Yeah, just imagine, like, it's like your eye is basically like a cocktail olive at that point.
Yes, yeah.
And then you're blind for life just because you jumped into a patch of cactus.
Just because you jumped into a patch of cactus? Just because you jumped in a whatever. You all you had to do to
You're dead just because you took a shotgun to the face.
I'm just saying, he doesn't have any fat folds over his eyelids, so
that's true. There's nothing to protect him
there.
From that.
All right, guys, we got to get right into the game show.
This is we will get into it. This is my last thing for how unprepared this whole thing was and how pieced together it seems. There are 6 people per team, and there's only 5 podiums on both teams. Like that if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about how like ramshackle this is, I don't know what will.
Yeah, the weird thing is, I feel like Butterbean must have been a last minute shoe-in. I'm assuming Steve-O, because I know I just went to a show. I don't know how much in advance they record these things. I'm assuming he was on tour. That's why he couldn't be there. Poopies is a very weird one for me not to see, especially what like the new guys like
100%.
Wanting to get that exposure. So maybe something happened with him last minute.
Poopies
Hopefully there's no
amazing on this. Poopies. No, this was recorded a long time ago. Like this was like closer to the release of Jackass Forever. This is like they've.
Oh really?
Yeah. This is a long time ago recorded. And they just sat on it for a bit. But yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, you guys are probably right though. There probably was some last minute addition. I do gotta point out though that at the very beginning, like when they do the first camera pan and they zoom in, you can see everybody's kind of standing front and center on Tremaine's team evenly, and Zach and Butterbean are sharing that podium. Then there's this shot after Steve Harvey comes in where Butterbean just kind of slides in, and without even saying anything, without even looking at Zach, he just kind of fades into the background and gives Butterbean the podium. Like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna screw with
you
this
think
guy.
if anything it should be Butterbean on the side, like he's not actually a jackass.
Really?
There should be some kind of like hierarchy or respect, but based on we'll see later on Zach Ass's answers, like it was kind of
He's
weird.
a little nervous.
Like
Yeah. But Butterbean remains in that position dominant for the rest of the show, and Zach does not try to encroach on his territory. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But hey, if we were in his shoes, we'd probably do the same. Here we go. Round one. We get Johnny versus Jeff here. A classic pairing. They step up to the center, and the question for round one. And yeah, okay, I don't think I need to explain this, but in case you don't know how Family Feud works, why are you listening to this? Secondly, here's a quick rundown. Basically, they give them a question and then they have to give an answer. Now, the questions have been backed by public surveys, and basically the most popular answers go up on a board. If the contestants guess one of the answers, they'll get a certain amount of points based on how popular that answer was. There you go, Family Feud. The first question is... Here we go. You guys ready? Something you'd hate to have happen: making love in an airplane bathroom. Seems fitting for a Jackass crew. You know, I thought they'd go a little more extreme with some of the questions. As we'll see, some of the later ones are kind of dull, given, you know, who they have on the show, but that's what we get. Team Tremaine goes with a toilet flush. Knoxville goes with the old walk-in. And it turns out that Knoxville's team has the more popular answer. I think the toilet flush, didn't you? It got an X, didn't it? Like it wasn't even on the board. I can't quite remember.
No, it was on the board. It was on the board.
On the board.
It was like a lesser answer. Someone walking in makes a lot of sense. Here's this question and the answers that come along with it. They basically summarize what I was saying earlier about how the answers are just stupid on this. Like Preston Lacey saying you finished too fast as something you wouldn't want to have happen while you're making love in an airplane bathroom.
That's definitely not a good answer.
It's a great answer.
No, it's a terrible answer.
It's a good answer from a comedic
It's the one time in your life you would want to come too fast because you're trying to get in and fuck out of there very quickly. You don't want to be fucking trying to bust a nut fucking stuck in there while you're stressed out with people knocking on the fucking door.
That's fair. Okay, I get that. So maybe not that one specifically, but okay. Fine, I'll accept that. But I think my fears about how bad this could have been, like the Jackass Family Feud crossover, were calmed when Dave Anglin came up, because his answer that he gives is you accidentally go number 2.
Oh,
and the fact
accidentally. Come on, Dave England. Accidentally. What's that?
The fact that you get throwaway answers for comedy's sake, I'm like, okay, we understand what we're here for. I'm happy to be here for it. That was a great little addition there. I was all of a sudden I laughed out loud and I'm like, okay, I'm along for the ride right now.
Totally. Yeah, I think the finish too fast and accidentally pooping were the best answers for sure. You had like plane crash, turbulence, those types of things as well. We get to Rachel, and she throws out one that I didn't really expect. Definitely not on the board, but condom breaking, which... There you go. I don't think you'd want that to happen anywhere, though, to be realistic.
That's true. But still, like another one that I think is like, that's clearly just her making a good joke. And I think the people being polled are never going to be clever enough to come up with that. No. But again, I'm like, yeah, that's an answer that should be on there. For sure, it should be on there. But
you're right. That's the problem with the show, isn't it? It's the most common denominator. It's like these answers are never going to be clever or funny. So if you want to play well, you kind of have to almost be uninteresting, which is kind of, I don't know, defeats the point.
Again, you're dealing with the audience demographic that I've already talked about. To them, the funniest thing in the world is implied sex. that is the funniest fucking thing. Like on the Newlyweds, when they say make whoopee, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you said
Yeah, but
make
that was like the
whoopee.
70s, man.
But nothing's
They
changed.
still ask that question.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
keep in mind, it's like it's a game show. Game shows are the 70s. Like this is people who like that sentimentality of like, you know, it's the equivalent of you know, have you ever heard of soaking? What soaking is? It's like religious kids in high school and stuff that can't have sex, so they just like the guy will like put his dick inside the girl's vagina, and then their friends will like jump on the bed next to them. So it's like, we're not having sex.
Oh
We're just
my
like,
God, what?
It's like any way to skirt the rules. Like this audience is like, we can't talk about sex, but if something makes a joke and it sounds like it, I guess we can laugh at it, and we don't have to say 17 Hail Marys of apology towards our Lord.
Okay. I don't know where you come up with this stuff, Mikey.
Did you watch that kind of
is not
porn or
in the
something,
public.
Mikey? Like, what the fuck?
That's soaking is a thing. Soaking is absolutely a thing.
How did you hear about it? That's what I don't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. There's a
My
question.
my
Like, what circles are you traveling in where it's like, hey, did you try soaking the other day? And you're like, what the fuck?
Mikey knows a lot of
Like-
priests and things. So
yeah.
And young kids, I guess.
It's all the newsletters that I follow. It's
Soaking
newsletters
weekly.
for Mormon teens, you know, just ways to get around. It's like, you know, they have scientific journals of like, we've made some discoveries recently about the molecular bio. You have these Mormon teens like, guys, I figured out a way to have sex and God can't blame you for it. It's just
Yeah,
like,
well, the good old days, it used to be like fucking in the ass because the vagina was the purity area.
Yes,
but now they're just
exactly.
getting really fucking damn creative.
They're
Your
getting-
friends jump on the fucking. I cannot get over that.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was the
Yeah.
first person to think of that? Being like, I fucking got it. You know, like, what the hell, man? Why don't you just fuck? If you want to go that far, just fuck, man.
because then the Lord won't forgive them. They'll spend eternity in hell.
now I'm just sitting here wishing that Chris would have put one of those in his fake headlines for the quiz at the beginning of the episode. Something soaking related would have just been fantastic. Listen,
The new theme
let's
of
never
podcast.
talk
Can't wait
about
to
this
tell the
again,
world about
guys.
that.
Let's just never talk about this again. So Knoxville's team does shitty and they pass it over to Tremaine. If you get 3 wrong, it goes to the other team. They get one chance to answer. They go with seatbelt sign, which nets them their first
That was a
set
good
of
answer.
points. There you go. Oh, good answer. Good answer.
You
And,
missed something pretty important though, Jay, that
What's
happens after Dave gives his answer.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Johnny Knoxville fucking tases him in the chest. That I did not expect, and I was watching this in the airport before my flight home today, and as of recording, and when that happened, I laughed out loud, and everyone in the lobby looked at me. It like, you know, how do you explain to them what you just saw? But that I didn't expect it. I found it hilarious. Dave looked, pun intended, very stunned. And I was at
And
that
Steve
point,
Harvey, like, it jacked him up. He
Yes.
was just
Yeah,
like, what
yeah.
in the fuck? This is going to be the best day I've ever done on the show.
100%.
You know, like, he loves his money. He does this, but like you said, he's a proper fucking comedian. He's been around the block. He's doing this for the paycheck. And this is the rare fucking, maybe the only time he'll ever be able to do this where shit's going to get wild. And he just
100%.
got fucking hype, man. And
he
he
loves it.
hyped me up too.
I was all in at this point. And the only person who wasn't in on it, which is crazy because someone just got tased on a game show and everyone is like laughing about it. Chris Pontius came to play and he came to win. If you look in the background of this one, while everything is going on, Chris Pontius is sitting there, arms folded, staring up at the board, just like, I don't know, like thinking about what to do. Like he doesn't give a fuck that someone just got tased. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go. Round 1 goes to Team Tremaine, and they do usually, they'll show you what answers weren't guessed. I'm not going to read all of them, but there is one that I will mention, falling in the toilet, which, guys, that doesn't sound so bad to me. I don't know about you. Sounds like it might add to the fun. See, I just get to do one of these every episode now, and you guys love it. You love it more than I love it, and I think that's why I continue to
100%.
do it. So let's get our next set of contestants up here. And for the record, going up from here on out, I'm just going to read the questions, and then we're just going to go over like the best answers. You know what? I never, let's put it this way. I never thought I'd be sitting here reviewing an episode of Family Feud. So you fucking figure it out if you got a better idea. Danger Ehren versus Chris Pontius here. Your husband's back hair is so thick that you can make what out of it? And the first 2 answers, just to set things off, we get are a forest from Danger Ehren To his Chris Pontius appropriately says braids, which is a much better answer. But fuck, a forest. What was he thinking?
He looks so nervous. He looks so like good on Ehren. He came to play, you know, he's doing the weird cheesy dancing and everything like that. But like he legit looked very nervous when he stood up there, and Pontius looked fucking focused. Like again, he looked like he was there to win.
Totally. Yeah. And we get back to the Tremaine side there, wee man. He says a blanket. I don't really have anything big here. Let's talk about Butterbeans, though, because I noticed something psychology-wise that I think is playing in Butterbean's favor, and I don't know if you guys notice it. But when he says throw rug, immediately everybody starts laughing hysterically like it's the funniest fucking thing they've ever heard. And I think a lot of that's just to do with the fact that this guy's a monster and they're all a little bit scared of him.
A little bit terrified of him.
Yeah.
You can't like, look, there's intimidation for no good reason, and then there's being intimidated by someone who has legitimately knocked out 50 human beings. Like there is something about him that's like, let's appease him. Let's make sure this dude's happy, because I don't want to see him.
I'm sitting in my condo in Canada, and I made a joke about him, and I apologized. He's a fucking scary guy.
He is.
Like on the off chance that I happen to be in the same city in the same place at the same time, and he happened to watch this, which there's no fucking chance he ever would.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I had my fucking, my list checked off that I'm not going to get my ass beat by him. So yes,
100%.
I agree.
I think, boys, though, the answer that stole the show here has to be Zach's, because he doesn't give an answer at all. He just gives a blank stare, no expression on his face, until they give him a timeout buzzer, which I didn't even know was a thing on this show. But
I've never seen it before. I've been watching Family Feud for years. I've never seen someone not have an answer.
I don't even know what happened, if he was just scared or couldn't think of anything, if he was trolling Harvey. Like, I couldn't really tell. I think
he went
nervous,
mom
though.
Spaghetti on us. He went full on mom spaghetti on us.
He 100% did.
He turned into Be Rabbit. Everybody in the house from the 313, like all that shit. Like he just completely went away.
Is that why, like towards the end when he had an answer, he actually gave a really good answer? Because it's like,
that was his
redemption. It's like an 8 Mile when he fucking made everybody else drop the mic.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. I saw like him. I felt like you mentioned, Chris, you were in Canada making fun of Butterbean and you felt like scared about it. I was in Spain in the airport watching Family Feud, and when it zoomed in on Zach's face or showed Zach just pondering an answer, I felt so uncomfortable the whole time. It felt like it lasted 5 minutes. It just waiting for an answer from him. It was so uncomfortable, but I was laughing my ass off at that point. He just fucking he biffed it hard.
Well, he's a fucking small town boy. He probably grew up, just like you guys. You get sick, you watch The Price is Right, 10 a.m., He's probably seen this kind of thing and never thought he'd be standing here on the show.
He'd be there.
He's a little starstruck,
Intimidating.
Yeah.
That's so funny say that you get sick and you watch Price is Right, because that is
10 a.m.
You're either an old lady or you're sick and watching Price is Right. Those are the only two demographics.
The only two.
That's so fucking funny. Yeah.
Which is why I think the show still has credibility today, because there's all us young kids fucking grew up and were like, oh yeah, that show's still good. Keep that on the air. Give Drew Carey a job. Is that still going? I honestly don't even know.
No, Price is Right is absolutely still going. Yeah.
And Drew Carey is the host.
Yeah. Bob's dead, Mikey. I don't know if you knew that.
I remember my grandma was pissed
Bob
off when Drew Carey replaced Bob, because she's like, you can't have a fat guy. You need to have a handsome guy. It's all those old ladies who were just so charmed by fucking Bob Barker, and then they replace him with Drew fucking Carey. Like, come on, man. You need to have he's that same kind of like that charming old person kind of vibe,
He probably got so much backstage puss.
Drew Carey?
No,
for sure.
Bob.
He was just smashing fucking old wizard fucking sleeves, for sure.
Yeah, both of them, man. Bob, probably all the time, like if they didn't win the hot tub, they'd probably like roll that thing backstage, turn on the jets,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, come on. So they fuck this up. The pass goes to Knoxville. They guess mittens, which is a terrible answer, and the score goes back to Tremaine's team. So it's now 2-0. I guess they've got 150 points. I don't really know how this works. But there you go. They're in the lead. Now, we move on to number 3. This is Wee Man and Preston, another classic pairing. And this is where we start to see Preston's... I don't even know how to describe this, but he's transforming. Like, he is no longer the Preston that stepped onto the stage at the beginning of the show. The question for this one is, there are a lot of fish, and before Harvey can finish... This is great. Wee Man's buzzer shocks him. Like, I should have anticipated this. I should have known this was going to happen.
Why do I love when he gets electrocuted so much?
Dude, it's the best. But Preston, through this all, is just standing there with his mouth open. He looks like Zach from the last segment.
Yes,
just standing
he's
there,
spaced out.
I don't know what's going on. Like, did these guys not get lunch before they went on? And the two guys with, the higher
or maybe they were
carb
nervous and they literally
requirement,
took a Xanax.
I'm just saying, if I don't get my meal, I get a little spaced out too, man. I don't fucking think straight.
It could be that.
I don't know.
But it seemed like I think he honestly did seem like he had like a Xanax or something like that. Like he was just kind of not quite there. He looked lost sometimes, but Wee Man didn't look lost. And Chris, you mentioned when Wee Man gets the buzzer and laughing at that again made me laugh my ass off. I'm realizing one of the funniest things about Wee Man and his journey of shocks. I don't know what you'd call it. His constant battle with the shocks.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about it is when he thinks he's picked up on it, he becomes the smuggest son of a bitch in the entire world. He's like, I knew it all along. I should have. It's like, yo, you just got shot. You just got. Yeah.
Bring out the card throwing machine.
Yeah. Oh man, if he would have said that or just something along those lines.
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
you're so right,
this
Mikey,
hand thing isn't even, it's never even been here. I watch this show.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the hand thing is there. That is a thing.
You're right. He's so smug. He comes out. It's like, you're totally right though. Like, if you're so sure, then how does this keep getting you every fucking time? But I mean, hey, at least he's not living like with the PTSD that Dave has, where he's like always expecting something. He's kind of able to just like tone it back and be like, I guess if it happens, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
He lives his life.
Yeah. I wanted almost more pranks like that. Like apart from the tase and this little shock, that's kind of all you get. I wanted there to be more of this, like one per question or something, one kind of weird thing happening. So that was a little bit disappointing, but only because it was so good when it happened. And I did enjoy it a ton when you did get a little bit of it.
Yeah. And Harvey asks Preston, hey, are you okay? He says, he kind of stares at him for a minute and he says, at some point he says, I'm not a very smart man, Mr. Harvey. I think that this is where he's referencing, are you ready to give an answer or something like that? But it's just the way that Preston answers again. It's that whole, sweet little boy trying to be polite for grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
He's the only one in the whole crew that's like that too,
Yeah. He's it seems like he's playing at it, but again, if it were on its own, I'd be like, that's funny. But it's in context with all the other spaciness he shows. I'm like, I don't know. It almost made me uncomfortable.
What not including the answers given, real quick. What's a good answer for you? A non-Family Feud, a funny one, maybe more of an X-rated one
for this question.
To this question,
let me read the question again because I didn't actually finish it. It is: there are a lot of fish in the sea. What creature would you end up with? They're asking married women.
Women.
Question. Yeah.
A good question for this one.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'd probably end up with one of those like plastic things that hold together a 6-pack of beer. Just wrapped around me. Like, I don't know how I got here.
No, that's good.
My first thought was swordfish.
Yeah. Oh, swordfish.
Like, because you're just fucking, poking the vag.
I like that. I would have went with a sea cucumber for the ladies who are claiming that he's just coming all the time.
How did none of the Jackass people think of sea cucumber? Because they've been fucking with those. If Steve-O was there for sure.
Yeah.
But Pontius should have came up with that. That's a good one, too.
That's a really good one. No, it turns out shark was the number one answer in this one, which I think
that's understandable.
That's understandable. Johnny, though, you'd think he'd be better at it. His answer with tuna, like tuna.
Yeah,
I think he's just throwing out a random fish.
You also got to realize that like this, they were asking women. Women are pretty fucking stupid when it comes to things that matter, like science and like biology and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So you can't really think of an obscure fish. It's got to be something very fucking dumb and dull.
True. Yeah.
Just letting that
sit in that one for a little, or what?
Yeah.
Move on, please. I got awkward. Marinated. Don't let me marinate in that.
Yeah, much like the smell of tuna fish, something ain't right about that one. I gotta say that when Dave answers jellyfish, which is a bad answer, I love how he looks over at Knoxville after the X goes up on screen because he knows
he might get tased. No, but the only person who gets tased in this one is fucking Johnny. He tases himself again. Like one thing I love about Johnny is whatever he dishes out, he's willing to take himself.
The shrimp was a great answer.
Yeah.
How that wasn't on the board's
No,
bullshit.
I like shrimp. Yeah, I agree. It should have been on the board. Aaron's answer with blowfish, though, I love how Harvey's answer to that is, obviously, we're not interested in points today. Like, he's just lost faith in these guys because they're performing so badly. And he starts laying into him for it. It's pretty funny. But yeah,
it was on there, and Ehren was so happy when it was. That was like, honestly, of all the people there, I think Pontius and Ehren cared the most about winning, and I liked that about it. Like, show up and play the game. It's more fun that way. I think this episode needed a bit of that, and thankfully we got it from them too.
Yeah, Pontius because he wanted to win, Ehren more because he was being held hostage, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's
a little bit. But we move on. Tremaine's team gets the pass. They answer with crab and win yet another round. It is now 3-0.
I guarantee you, I will bet any amount of money that there was one person on this team that definitely didn't suggest that answer of crab. And that would be Dark Shark. And if he hears this, he'll know exactly why I know that, and he'll know that too.
Huh.
Why is that?
I'm interested. Can you tell us why?
Okay, all right.
That was easy.
Crab is a derogatory word for Crips. It's like if you say that to a Crip, you have to fight them. They have to fight you on site type thing. It's like that's like the worst thing one of the worst things you could say to. So they won't even. I was watching this guy. He's like a former gang. He kind of like Dark Shark, and he's like has like a cooking show or not cooking, like an eating show. And he's going to this Chinese food place, and he's like, "Oh, I want this one," and he would not say the word crab. They will not say it under any circumstance. So he's like, "Yeah, like that shellfishy thing." Like they will not. It's kind of funny. So when that answer came up and he's sitting there, I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised he even celebrated." It's kind of funny.
I thought you were going to say Jackass.
I guarantee you he would get that. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Jackass because he took the crab on the nose in the opening to Jackass 2.5. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So it is now 3-0 for Tremaine's team. Harvey says, "This is actually terrible." And we're moving on to round 4, where it's going to be Jasper and Dark Shark, father and son, taking the center stage here. And this is probably my favorite question out of the whole night, I think. If Tarzan were a magician, he might pull a blank out of his loincloth. So here we got to fill in the blank. And
a fucking stupid question, by the way.
It is stupid, but the answers are good. The answers are what sells this one for me, especially as we'll get to Zach in a moment.
I'm with Chris on this one. This
really?
was like my least favorite moment.
It's like, what do you even? It's not even creative. It's just stupid. Like, what are you gonna like?
If Tarzan,
especially the number one answer, are you fucking kidding me?
Also, like, what happened here? Because Jasper says banana, which is that's a great answer.
That's the best answer for sure.
Dark Shark says monkey, but it's after an X comes on screen. You hear the buzz, you see an X. Johnny calls the whole show out on it, and no one addresses it the whole time.
You know what I think that was? I think that was another one of those pranks that we seen earlier, where Johnny was setting it up to try and hope that the person would stop talking and forfeit their turn. Like, I think that was because he was pushing the agenda of it so much. I think he set up that fake thing to see if he could get somebody, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah,
that's what my guess was on something along those lines.
Yeah.
Let me explain why this was my favorite question, because I see where you guys, the obvious, reaction is going to be, it was okay, it wasn't anything special. But let me explain. There's something happening between the lines here that I really appreciated. So, yes, you're right. We get monkey and banana as the first two answers. It goes to Tremaine's team, and they get over to that side. Steve Harvey comes over, and, he'll always do a little banter before they ask the questions. But on this one, it's almost like, it's like with me when I'm trying to end the fucking show and I just keep talking and talking. Steve Harvey does this thing here where he goes into this whole bit, and it's like suddenly he's no longer the host of the show. He's a stand-up comedian now, and he's doing this whole bit about how he's got a monkey in his loincloth and is trying to chew on his balls and stuff like this. Yeah. And I just thought, what happened to the show? And I just love that it was getting so derailed. And it's like Steve Harvey was so far off course, but nobody cared to like steer him back, and he just kept going. Oh,
no one can. He's the guy who's supposed to steer the show,
right?
Right? Yeah. And now he's just like working out some of his old stand-up bits. But I agree that chaotic energy I really liked about it. Leave it to the Jackass crew to like dismantle what you expect to see on something. And no, I had a good time with it.
Yeah, that was for sure funny. You want to talk about Zach's answer first before we move on? Because I think he had a good mic drop moment here.
He had a great answer, but he looked so fucking high before he gave it that I couldn't even focus. He looked so spaced out too. Like he and Preston, I guess. Yeah. No, but he's this was his redemption moment. Yeah.
Totally, man. Yeah, because there's a great moment, right, where Zach is asked, what's in the loincloth, and you're right. He pauses, but he does answer this time, and he says a ball. And it's like, it's such a simple, dumb answer, but everybody's like, applauding him, saying good answer and stuff. And even Steve Harvey is like almost not able to turn to the board and say with a straight face a ball, like he's laughing. And it's just, I think it's just the delivery, because they expected him to blank again, and he totally sold this.
Yeah.
So when it's about to get passed, though, because they're not doing very good, it's going to go to Knoxville's team. There's a moment where they're all doing the huddle, trying to decide what their answer is going to be. And Preston's like, his back is to the huddle and he's just staring out into space. And Steve Harvey's like, dude, the huddle's back there. And no reaction from him. Like, he's not even here anymore.
Because that's the thing. If people aren't used to Family Feud, while the other team is answering, your team huddles up to talk about what answer you're going to give to Steele if they get their 3 strikes. Preston is just completely ignoring the fact that there's a huddle going on. And when Steve Harvey calls him out on it, Preston looks like concerningly confused. Like as what huddle? Who are you? Why am I here? Like this was the first moment I was like, almost uncomfortable watching it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Again, I read too much into things sometimes, but like, I just felt awkward and uncomfortable when he started to almost like amble around like he didn't know where he was. You know what? He looks more confused. Remember in Jackass 4.5 when he shits himself? He just looks, he's like, I just don't know what happened. How did this happen to me? He has that look on his face again where he's just like, how did I get outside the huddle? I thought we were all part of a team. And he just looks like he can't find his way back home. It was so confusing.
Confusing. You said that weird.
Confusing. Confusing.
Do you think he's putting this on? Like, was he told to go and act this character, or is he just legitimately not used to being in front of a studio audience, or what's the deal here? What do you think?
I don't know if it's nerve. I think it is honestly the Xanax thing. Like, if I had my guess, that's what
he's
it would
probably
be.
Nervous. Like, hey, take one of these, calm down. And you take too much Xanax, man, you're in a fucking
yes.
You're a ghost.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
All of a sudden, fucking, you're sitting there, you're a ghost, and fucking Joe Biden's trying to shake your hand, and fucking
Steve Harvey's the fucking squid man from Pirates of the Caribbean.
What?
Yeah, you know the one, the guy in the McDonald's commercial.
What?
All right, so next round is sudden death. This is where things get exciting, folks. So the score is now 3-1. Knoxville pulls one out of their ass by saying Jane was in the loincloth. And
that was a good answer.
It was a good answer. It was a good answer. 10-foot vine was the missing answer from the board. It's a penis.
How did so many people specifically say 10-foot vine?
Well,
is there something that has to do with Tarzan?
A vine or something like that. Like, but no
one
the answer's 10 foot. That's one of the things I never get about Family Feud, right? Also, it's clear that no one answering this question understood what a loincloth was, because like that's, you don't pull a 10-foot. I don't know. None of this is good.
Well, if you're a magician, you do. And they said if he was a magician. Magicians pull rabbits out of hats. No one else other than magicians could pull a rabbit out of a fucking hat, all right?
Well, I think that's wrong. I think most people could pull a rabbit out of a hat. Rabbits fit in hats.
Yeah, you got to be pretty magical to catch a rabbit in the first place. They're fast.
I don't know. I dominated that in Mario 64. I caught that rabbit every time I saw it.
Fucking hate that guy.
That's fucking fun.
Hey, listen, guys. Sudden death is up next, but wait a minute. Isn't sudden death reserved specifically for situations where the score is tied and both teams have been performing adequately, and we have to determine who is the champion? I've played my fair share of Blades of Steel. I'm pretty sure that's how this works.
Blades of Steel is a great game.
But the reasons why they evened out is because each round the score is like double. So round one, they're worth X amount, round two. So you technically only need to win one to keep people in the game.
What? Okay. All right. What fucking Family Feud. Yeah, it's Butterbean and Dave up to the podium here, and the winner wins, essentially. Whoever wins, wins. So if a man has only one thing in his refrigerator, it would be what? And obviously the answer is beer.
It's obviously beer, yeah.
I was surprised that Buzzerbean didn't get it first. Dave was pretty quick on this one. But hey,
Butterbean's got some quick hands. Where were they?
In the ring. Not here.
Mm-hmm.
Not here. But hey, he wins with beer. Knoxville's team celebrates. They're jumping up and down. It's like they'd won the fucking World Cup or something here. most exciting moment of their lives. What an upset. I'd say even the greatest upset in feud history. Chris, would you agree? Will people be talking about this for years to come?
There was this one episode back with the McMullen family versus the Dynamo family.
Oh.
And if you go back and you watch, like, the comeback was, it came down to the last possible answer. They skunked them. They didn't even get them a chance to come back. They actually totaled the max amount of points that you could get in a round, and then they took it in sudden death. It was that was one of the most marvelous Family Feud episodes of all time.
I remember that, Chris, and you think that was pretty memorable, right? You'll never forget that?
Never.
And what were the names of the families again?
The McMullen family and the Dynamo family.
Okay. All right. There you go. I did not
Dynamo
expect
is
you to
a
remember that.
sick last name, though.
It's a sick last name.
That's why they came back, man. That's why it worked out so well.
Because they're dynamos.
Yeah. You don't remember that, Mikey? Remember we watched it like 3 times. I invite you over even to this day, every once a couple of years, to come over, make some popcorn, and watch that glorious episode.
Yeah. It's something I look forward to. I'd say every year I look forward to the moment that episode is over and I get to go home again.
Why have you never told me this?
All right.
Hey, you guys want to play Fast Money or?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Fast Money is my favorite part of Family Feud, by the way.
I love Chris's energy, by the way, because it's like you're basically on the fucking show. You're more excited than either of us.
I asked if you wanted to play Family Feud. I ain't fucking around.
Yeah,
you know?
dude. I asked if you wanted to play Fast Money, and your answer was, "Let's do it." Like you're on the show, like you're behind the podium. Like, yes, Steve, I'm ready. I've been waiting for you to ask me that my whole life. Let's do it.
I knew you were really. You're so right about that. I'm like a fucking cheesy contestant, man. That's
got a good energy.
We should let's actually new petition for the listeners at Jackast Pod. Let's get Chris. Someone start like a change.org or something. Let's get Chris on Family Feud, please.
Oh,
it's gotta happen.
I'll kick ass in that because I'm not smart enough to think of smart answers. I am that dumb average American, you know.
Perfect.
Like I fucking kill the show.
So in Fast Money, it's Knoxville's team. 2 lucky contestants get to go up from the team. And basically, they got to answer 5 questions in 20 seconds, and they need 200 points between the 2 of them collectively to win. Knoxville is up first. So, since these are short and sweet, I will read these ones. And just for reference here, Knoxville and Ehren are the ones going up. They do have the same set of questions. So the first one is, your first move in rock, paper, scissors. Knoxville goes with rock. 1 to 10, your ability to control your anger on a scale of 1 to 10. He says it's a 6. Another word for throw up, puke, classic. Sports with gloves, baseball. And an
Boxing
ocean that borders the USA, the Pacific Ocean. So there you go. Knoxville comes out of there with 181 points total. Not bad. So Ehren needs 19 to come back and win it. But when we come back from commercial break and Ehren is there, he doesn't know how many points Knoxville has right away. And you can just tell he's nervous. Like he already feels, you can just tell that if he doesn't get this right, there's something terrible in store for him. He is frightened. And in fact, this is Aaron's like demeanor the entire 40 minutes that this episode lasts. He never comes down from this level of just stressed. I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah, he seems he does have that energy as well. He's got a little PTSD in him. In this for sure. Maybe it is his close vicinity to Johnny Knoxville. Who knows? Chris, you're a fan of Family Feud, as am I. Maybe not quite as much. Definitely not quite as much. But this is the easiest line of questioning.
Every single one of them had 2 very clear answers, which they usually do it that way when it's the charity ones because they want obviously them to win.
Two of them only had 2 possible answers, or 2 or 3 possible answers. You had the which ocean. You had rock, paper, scissors, which is only 3. And then apart from like that alone will get you just about enough to win. Like it was pretty easy. But you mentioned the celebrity game shows like Celebrity Jeopardy, Celebrity Family Feud. It's always such a weird thing to me that the game show is like, we have all this money to donate to your charity, but only if you're smart enough to get that money. Like, just give them the money. Just give them money for showing up. Especially, like, why would you punish the charity because a guy that you're dealing with has had 5 concussions and he couldn't guess and 7 Xanaxes and couldn't guess what 100 housewives would say. Like, just give the money to the charities.
It's a good thing they didn't get Preston up there. Oh,
yeah. Or Zach. Preston versus Zach. They just
would have been a lot of sad
both
kids.
of them spending all 20 seconds not saying a fucking word.
So if you win here, Ehren, both teams will get the 25,000, says Steve Harvey, or you'll be tased to death. And that's his words, not mine. You will be tased to death. Clearly, Steve Harvey does not give a fuck anymore. He's just saying whatever he wants.
I think he probably thought that this wasn't airing at this point. I think he thought that this wasn't going to make TV.
Entirely possible. Danger Aaron's still so nervous that when they hand Rachel the taser, his voice cracks a little bit. He's ready to go though, and obviously, as Chris said, these answers are going to be so obvious that there's pretty much no way he could have lost. On the first answer, he gets 21 points by picking scissors, and I feel like that rock paper scissors question especially is so dumb. You pick any answer, you're good, unless you say something stupid like spoon, because you're fine.
What if you said fong or fooey or fing?
Oh, fing fong fooey. Yeah, that's the other.
Do you know that, Jay? Fing fong fooey?
I don't know Fing Fong Fooey, to be honest.
That may have been a local thing for you and me, Chris.
Because you grew up where there's a lot of Asians around.
I mean, we did.
Honestly, I wasn't making a joke. That's probably why.
No,
I'm gonna let someone else answer that question. I don't know.
We used to play cattle prod, hay baler, and cow pie over here. Always pick cow pie because nobody picks it except Jay.
Except Jay. That's for him and him only. It doesn't beat anything.
No.
Oh, so cattle
it's
prod,
an instant lose.
Cow pie, and hay baler?
Sure.
Oh, you weren't even making that up because that actually works out.
I wasn't even making that up, Chris.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm going to start doing that now.
Please spread the word on Twitter. Yeah. Taking the kids by storm. Playing it on playgrounds all over the world. Yeah, I don't know, guys. There's no stakes here. It feels like a little bit of a letdown at the end, but I don't know why I feel let down because a bunch of kids just got a lot of money. So maybe I'm the asshole. Maybe that's what Family Feud was trying to do all along. You know?
That does seem to be the goal of Family Feud.
Yeah. Why was I rooting for them to lose? I got to go to therapy, Mikey.
All in all, did you guys like this? Did you?
I had a blast.
I had a fucking blast. I loved this. Jay, what about you?
I want to say that I had a blast. I'll say if lowering my expectations because I don't really like these types of things, like Family Feud's not a big deal for me. Sorry, Chris. But yeah, I think if I lower the expectations, it's the best episode of the show that's ever existed. But is it something I'd watch in my free time just because I felt like it? Probably not. Honestly.
You know what I'm not looking forward to? If they try and do it again next year and networks like, oh, there should be no tasers because that could be a lawsuit. Someone could get hurt. And then they
Speaking of things, no, you're right. Like, but things.
No, I was going to say something that I shouldn't have said.
Oh, okay, all right. Speaking of things happening a second year over, like I was amazed. I had this thought after it was done. How in the world did Jackass have such a miss with Shark Week 2.0 and such a win with Family Feud?
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
It feels like there's a natural victory in there somewhere, and it definitely doesn't lie with Family Feud. And yet somehow that's the one that I think absolutely killed it, where Shark Week 2.0 was one of the worst Jackass experiences, as we talked about on this podcast, however many months ago that it aired, that we've experienced.
Yeah, on that, I would agree with you for sure. I think if you compare those two, I had more fun with this. It didn't feel as drawn out, like Shark Week, there was a lot of lull in between. There were some good moments, but then it would just slow down and it was kind of like, yeah, something was off. So yeah, I think you make a good point there.
True. I also like the fact, just as like a closing remark on this, we talked about Danger Ehren a lot. The fact that like at a house party, he was introduced incorrectly. Everyone just has to pretend for 45 minutes that Danger Ehren's name is just Danger. Like Steve Harvey just calls him Danger the whole time, and everyone's like, sure. And Aaron's like, yeah, okay, sure. My national TV debut on a game show, and no one's gonna know my real name. That's fine with me.
Are you gonna correct Steve Harvey though?
You're never gonna correct Steve Harvey.
You can't do that. Is Danger Ehren your MVP for this episode, Mikey?
That's a good question. I think my MVP, no, you know what? I've been hard on him for the past couple weeks. I'm going to go ahead and say that my MVP of this episode is actually Johnny Knoxville. I think he's bringing in and he's taking the lead and doing some of the crazy things to open the door for the rest of the crew, because I think they have to kind of look to him to follow his lead. He comes in the same suit as Steve Harvey. That was a good sight gag. He tases Dave England, which all of a sudden threatens every answer that anyone gives for the rest of the show, gives them a constant gag to go back to. And he's just kind of bringing this energy, and he tases himself. I think Johnny Knoxville's the MVP of this one. I liked it. I thought he brought a good Jackass spirit to the show.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be Pontius. Like, if I went on there and people were not taking this game seriously, I would fucking not speak to them anymore. Like, you're on there to win. And I loved his fucking determination. Not everything's a fucking joke. If they came and did this completely straight faced without making any jokes, I would have fucking enjoyed the episode too. I like that they actually did a very good balance. Like, I'm not even joking when I say that. Like, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah. I think that they cross the line between making this Jackass and still taking this seriously as good as they possibly could.
Yeah.
So that's why I enjoyed this episode in general. But I got to give respect to Pontius. He was still funny. His laugh in the background, every time something happens, you hear him laughing, and his laugh always makes me laugh, and it just puts 100%. Me in a good mood. So he's my MVP for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Jay, what about you?
Pontius, forever the cool one. I agree with you, Chris. I think for me, the answer is Xanax. No, it's not Xanax, but I would say that actually, who surprised me the most is Steve Harvey. I think he's my MVP because there's so many scenarios, and I was almost expecting it to go this way from the way the first couple minutes of this were structured. I was thinking for sure he was going to be one of those hosts that, oh no, I'm out of my element. I'm not used to dealing with this type of crowd. And then he's going to get awkward. He's going to start insulting people like unnecessarily, and he's going to try to play into their dynamic but not quite get it. But he did very well. He adapted fast because clearly this is not a normal day at work for him. And he ended up being pretty funny. Like, he had some of the lines in the show that had me laughing the hardest, just his little quibs about like how terrible Knoxville's team was doing and things like that. So I actually really enjoyed his presence on this show, and he was the standout for me.
Yeah, nice. I think, there's a reason why he's I've self-proclaimed one of the original kings of comedy, right? Like he's big time when it comes to comedy, and his gift of the gab and his ability to deal with hecklers and just command a stage presence and just be funny is really on display here. And I like that. You forget that when someone is a talk show host or a game show host for so long that they can actually be funny, and he clearly still is.
Mikey,
LVPs.
Before you jump in for LVPs, I got to say on this topic, because I think you're right. Steve Harvey kills it here. He's very professional, does a great job. His comedic chops show. Every time I think of the situation of like a host of a show not being able to handle the talent, I immediately think of, do you guys ever see that YouTube special they did with Norm Macdonald as one of the hosts? It was like a YouTube awards show, and Norm is there, and the hosts, on their own, I don't want to say anything bad about them. I think like they weren't suited for like that live type of hosting environment. They're more, better scripted. But when Norm was there, he was just deadpanning the whole time and making the funniest jokes, being totally inappropriate, and they did not know what to do with him the whole show. And you could just tell their whole production team must have been just fucking pissed at Norm because they could not rein him in. And I think of that, and that's like the prime example of things falling apart. You guys ever seen that before? Or?
No, I know what you're talking about. Norm is one of my favorite guys ever. I know he also had, I'm not sure if what you're thinking of, if I'm thinking of the same thing, but I know he had something like that with the ESPYs as well. And it was, he had some good moments on that. No, I love Norm Macdonald. And honestly, if Steve Harvey tried to do that the same way Norm would have, I think he would have had an issue with it, because the reason why it works for Norm is because the people around him are so clueless, but the Jackass crew is not clueless. Like they'd give it right back. I just would not see that having worked. Steve made the right choice in playing with them as opposed to trying to play against them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'll go for my my LVP on this one. I'm going to say my LVP is going to be the audience, actually. I think they took a little bit too long to warm up, and I feel like they never fully embraced some of the energy that the Jackass crew brought, and I think that could have made the crew loosen up a little bit more. Maybe one of the reasons why guys like Preston and Ehren and Jackass seemed so nervous was because they weren't getting any responses from the audience. That could be it. I feel like they could have brought a bit more energy to it.
Yeah, my LVP, I'm not going like least valuable player or least valuable person. I'm actually going on the person that lost out the most by not playing. and that is Poopies, because Poopies in this situation on the national stage could have shined so much. Like, I just think his personality, his maybe not the sharpest mind, as everybody so-called says, would just be fucking awesome on here. Some of the, I just would have wished I got to hear the answers he came up with, and I bet he would have surprised people with some of the best answers randomly, and also some of the worst answers. So
I totally agree.
I think this was a really good chance. This would have been a great chance for him to kind of show that characteristic that we all love so much on a bigger stage, on a national stage, to audiences that might not know him. So I think he lost out. Hopefully it wasn't his fault, or like hopefully he just didn't choose not to do it, or there wasn't any other stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. Hopefully it was a conflict of interest at the time or whatever. So
true.
Yeah, that's my LVP.
I think mine is the sample serving of mums that answered toothbrush to the "what would you make out of your husband's back hair?"
What the fuck
question.
was that? What is it, scrubbing their teeth?
A bunch of fucking Karens who don't understand comedy. That's who. Toothbrush.
Yeah, you got I think it was Rachel who was just like, you can't braid it or knit a toothbrush. Like, just like, what are you talking about?
See, case in point right there. The comedian on the show was immediately calling that out. She knew.
Exactly.
She knew. And hey, I'm not the fucking masters in comedy by any means, but like, toothbrush.
No, we know, Jay.
I know.
Do you like imagine like do you ever think like imagine someone came up to you and like, we're the survey from Family Feud, so we need you to answer this question, and it's like, and you just like said just something that has absolutely nothing to do with it just to fuck with the survey? Do you think they would keep it because they have to? Because hey, this is a survey of 100 people.
No,
I asked you what color the moon is, and you said turquoise, or you said dinosaur.
Yeah,
and then the answer dinosaur comes up to like, what the fuck is this whack job?
You'd have to run around the park where they were interviewing people, just telling everybody, like, you know, telephoning it. Say dinosaur.
Everyone say dinosaur. Everyone say dinosaur.
Just every answer is jizz for some reason. How did this happen? How did this get past our staff? Listen, guys, Family Feud. I probably wouldn't watch something like this again because just for me personally, I've had enough. I've had my quota filled for the year, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. It had its moments, but all in all, listeners, whatever else you got in the tank, please throw it at us. Let us know. This has been a lot of fun just reviewing random stuff. Even if I complain a lot, I genuinely do like hearing from you guys and seeing, like, you know, where your interest lies, because I don't think any of us here would have thought you wanted to hear us talk about this, but hey, there you go. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, thanks for listening. I was excited to do it. Like we've talked about, any new content we get with the Jackass crew, I love, because who knows when that faucet is going to close completely for the rest of time. You never know. There's a lot of rumors right now going on about the fact that the Jackass TV show, the remake or the revision of it, was wildly over speculated, and we may not actually get it, which would be incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take what I can get and enjoy every minute of it, because who knows how much more we're actually going to get of this.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We are the monkeys, you know? You just fucking wind us up and we'll play those goddamn cymbals for you all day until we're all out of content, until the barrel of monkeys is empty.
And you can pull us out of Tarzan's loincloth, according to Dark Shark.
You can, yeah. And I don't have anything else to say about this. I think we've pretty much exhausted this one. So if you want to find us, as always, at JackastPod on Instagram and Twitter, come see what we're doing. We want to hear from you. And leave us some feedback. And until next week.
Oh,
until
one
then.
thing real quick while we got it on here.
Yes.
Mikey, what was the name of that bitch ass guy that commented on our TikTok? Like, oh, it's another podcast that no one needs to hear about. Fuck that guy. Let's air his bitch ass out. You know who wanted to hear about it? Your fucking mom when I was fucking her. So fuck you. Comment away, bitch. I want to add him. I'm going to find out his at.
You know, TikTok's a thing. People are miserable on that. The comment section is a war zone.
Fuck him. I don't care. I don't fucking like you anyways. And I don't even
I
read
hope
them.
he gets in a car accident, but I'm just not going to let it take my skin off of my back.
Oh, it didn't take my skin back. If you're that miserable to make a comment like that, you're fucking listening. Fucking, we love the hate. Hate on, you little bitch.
It sounds like you love it, Chris. It sounds like you're really loving it.
Right, fuck him. I don't care. Fuck him.
Join us over on TikTok. It is a fun community on TikTok as well, at Jackass Pod.
And hate on our comments, and I might mention you in the next episode as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Any press is good press, right? Right, Chris?
A comment's a comment.
The algorithm loves interaction. It doesn't care what kind.
Exactly.
Well. Bye. I feel like we're kind of ending on a sour note here, but fuck it. I don't care anymore. This was Family Feud. Thank you for joining us. God bless Steve Harvey. Bye. I'm Jason Wellwood.
Bye. I'm Chris, the comment beaten up person Ehrenworth.
Bye, I'm Mikey Ehrenworth. Confused as all hell, and this has been Jackast.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.